Hey everyone, welcome back to That's Cakeable. I'm Janine, and this week what I found cakeable was a cute little picture of a Kawaii milk carton. What better thing to have with milk than cookies? Hang on a second, I have to rethink that because coffee's life. So to make this cake, I baked two 4-inch square black chocolate cakes, which I sliced into 3 separate layers each. I placed the first layer on a 4-inch square board with some ganache, simple syrup that cake, then cover in ganache and repeat the process until all of the cakes are stacked. Who doesn't love ganache? Chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. Yum. The simple syrup keeps our cakes moist whilst we decorate. I place a skewer through the centre of those cakes just to keep it secure while I give it a rough crumb coat with ganache. I'm possibly the most messy worker on the planet, just letting you know. I put a board on the top so that you can line both the boards up and make sure that all of your edges stay neat and flat and straight and you get a nice long rectangle cake. Being really generous with ganache. See that line there? That's because I didn't mix my ganache enough and I had small pieces of chocolate that dragged along as I smoothed the ganache, so make sure that you always melt your chocolate down really well so you've got a nice smooth ganache. Getting to those edges, my method is just building up lots of ganache and smoothing it down until it's right, and that scraper's life. I grabbed that from a hardware store for I think about $2. Nice sharp edge. Now I take the top off using a paring knife that I've dipped in boiling hot water. Just slice underneath the top board, very gently pop that off. There it is. Now I'm just leveling out the top with some more ganache. Now this is being panelled, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but the closer you get it, the better your final result's going to be. Smooth off those edges. Now to make the top of the cake, I took a triangle template, took some slices of cake. Your slices can be thicker, I had run out, so I'm just using what I have, and sandwich those triangles together on a 4-inch cake board to match the bottom with ganache. As you can see now, I've found other cake that I had, so I've got a combination of black chocolate, dark chocolate and milk chocolate cake for the top of the milk carton. It's a chocolate explosion. And I give that a quick crumb coat and then build that up and get all those edges quite defined because we need those edges. Now let's make some panels. I take some white fondant first and I place it between 2 spaces to make sure that all of my fondant remains the same thickness. I'm going to do the same thing with some brown fondant. Measure my cake to make sure that we know what size our panels have to be. And now I'm popping some corn flour onto that fondant and popping the brown on top because we don't want them to stick. I run a squiggly line through both pieces of fondant with my X-Acto knife, or your scalpel or a sharp paring knife will be fine. Remove the brown, remove the base white, and then pop your brown back on and smooth them together like a little jigsaw puzzle. Now we're going to cut out our panels. So what we need to do is cut the panels to about the right height of the cake, but they need to be slightly wider than the cake. You'll see why shortly. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, just click the subscribe button below. Make sure you click on the bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. I place the fondant panel on a board and set that aside to dry. I've put a lid on that cake. I've just done a 4x4 piece of fondant, popped that on top, and now we can start adding our panels. To add the first panel, I just put some clear piping gel onto the cake, put the panel up onto the cake, making one side completely flush, and I do the same on the other side. Now you can see that overhang. What we do now is take a sharp paring knife, run that flush along the face of the cake, and slice that side of the panel off, and we end up with a nice, clean, even, well-fitting panel. Do that to both sides, and now we move on to the other panels. Repeat the process. You see that gap in the top? Don't tell anybody that we're covering it. Now to cover the top section of our milk carton, I do the same thing. I roll out some brown fondant with some spaces. I've just cut that in half, and I place those pieces on the side of the top. The more triangular parts, the ends. One on each end, and just pop those on with a smoother so they're nice and firm against the ganache. I took a cake board and unfortunately flipped the cake board right in your face so you can't see what I'm doing. But I did the same method and just used the cake as a guideline for slicing the excess fondant away. Now I'm covering the sides of the top. And I just do that in 2 separate panels. It was just easier that way. I found this an awkward shaped cake to cut with a knife, so I ended up using some scissors, which worked really, really well. Smoothed it out with my acetate smoother, and it's ready to go. Now is the time of reckoning. We're adding the top to the bottom with a bit of ganache. Pop that on top, and I've used my smoothers to firm that down. Smooth it out. And now we're ready to start decorating. I use my extruder. I put some fondant in my extruder, and I've used a flat face plate to extrude a line of fondant. Take some water and just place it on those seams, and then I take a slice of my extruded fondant, put it across, measuring it up so it's nice and straight, and cut off the excess. I do that with all the seams on the sides and all the seams at the top. Now I've taken a bit of cardboard so that we don't have to worry about it flopping over, and I took some brown fondant, rolled that out flat with my pasta machine, love my pasta machine, and I've attached that to that milk board that I've cut out. I did cut out the cardboard slightly longer so that some card can just sit in the cake without squashing the fondant that we put on top. I cover both sides of that card with a bit of matching brown fondant and place it in the top. Voila! Okay, so once I've placed that piece of cardboard in, I just smooth out the tops against it so it stays in, and I took some of the extruded fondant and just neatened up the edges with that. Now to make our eyes. Now I didn't have the right size oval cutters because kawaii characters have a certain shape. So I took some circle cutters, cut out some black fondant and just lengthened them a little bit with my fingers. Not quite oval, not quite round. Did the same thing with a tiny, tiny oval cutter, which was 2 ovals, so I had nothing in between. And I popped the white on top of the black, and then just tiny, tiny little pieces down in the bottom corners. To attach the eyes, I just use some water. Now they're set quite low and far apart. It's a kawaii character thing, I think. And there we go. to make his mouth, I used a slightly smaller face plate. Once again, it was flat, extruded some black fondant and just popped his little mouth on. And now his cute little rosy cheeks. I just took some pink fondant, rolled it into tiny little ovals and popped them under his eyes. Now to make his label, which says milk, I actually printed out the font that I really liked, made it the size that I wanted, and then painstakingly cut them out by hand on some very thinly rolled flour paste. I used my baking paper method. If you go and check out my popcorn and Pennywise video, you'll see how I do that method right there. Takes me back to school days, milk and cookies. I'm talking about school days, I did it last week. And then I just put that label straight onto the top option. Milk, anyone? So right at the end I decided that he looks really lonely and what goes well with milk and cookies, so I thought I'd make him a little cookie, so I did. I didn't film making the cookie, but if you would like me to show you how I made the cookie, please let me know in the comments below and I'll make a quick video for you to show you. Well guys, that's it for another week. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I really enjoyed making this cake and I can definitely see some more kawaii cakes coming up in the near future. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell in the bottom so you don't miss out on anything in the very near future. And if you want to see how I did the baking paper method, don't forget to head over and check out my Pennywise and popcorn cake. And while you're there, go and have a look at this cute guy, little lobster. Love making him. He's got a surprise inside and you can see how I did that by visiting my blog at that'scakeable.com. Okay, until next week, it's time for you to go and get your cake on and time for me to eat cookies. And now you're only half the man you used to be. Oh well.
C is for cookie, cookie is for me. C is for cookie, cookie is for me. C is for cookie, cookie is for me. C is for cookie, cookie.